Retta went to it was like a secretarial school because it was only 2 years. She got out of school early. She wasn't 18 when she graduated. I think she was 16 and a half, 17, and she couldn't get a job. So she went to the secretarial school for 2 years, and then she got a job with Sawbridge and Clothier. And she always told the story that they put her right up front. In those days, there weren't the Visas, MasterCard, and all that mess. Every store had its own credit card. So when you went to pay your bill, she was right in the window. So people came up, they said, hey, they do have an African-American girl working here. And she was kind of like a showpiece of Sawbridge and Clothier. 42 years later, when she retired from Sawbridge and Clothier, she was the head of the department. She was very good at what she did. Frank, he went to Maryland State and had an offer to go play with the Detroit Lions, but he had gone to seminary and he was going to be ordained a minister, and he decided not to play football. I thought it was a mistake. He could have done both, but that was his decision. And he had a church down in Maryland, and he stayed there. He's buried in Delaware, in fact. He stayed there the rest of his life. And then I came along, and I was determined not to go. I had a chance to play baseball, and the guy was going to give me a little bit of money. And I told my mother, we could get some money, right now, because things are hard. It was just she and I and Red in the house. And she said, Dave, if you sign, you can't play football. So that's right. She said, and you won't be going to college. So that's right. She said, well, your father wanted you to go to college. So I turned down the money. It wasn't that much money. And the guy that offered it to me later told me, said, you probably would have gone to spring training, and they would have thrown your arm out and said, you probably never would have made the bigs, going up to the big leagues. He said, you did the right thing going to college and playing football. So that was it. And going back to my life, halfway through my sophomore year, after I was a guard, all of the tight ends got hurt, except for 3 guys. And so they moved me to tight end, and tight end on offense and defense. In those days, you had to go both ways. So I was a linebacker on defense, and I kind of had a good career. And I played against we played some of the top teams in the nation. We went to the Gator Bowl. I was the first African American to play in the Gator Bowl. We played Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech had a great defense. They only scored 23 points were scored on them all year, and we scored 21 points, 23 points in that one game. We shut them down. And I had some great plays, and everybody said, "Oh, the one who's the MVP of the game automatically goes into the Gator Bowl Hall of Fame." So I was waiting to see if they were going to vote me MVP, and guess what? I didn't make it. I was surprised by that. But anyway, and then we went back to the Gator Bowl the second year. And the second year, I was MVP again. And this time, I got the MVP, but they still didn't put me in the Gator Bowl Hall of Fame. It seems that somehow or another, after I broke the color barrier, they changed that rule about the MVP going automatically into the Gator Bowl Hall of Fame. And in the year 2006, they finally called me and said, now this was 1962 and 3 when I was in the Gator Bowl. In 2006, they called me and said they had elected me to the Gator Bowl Hall of Fame. Would I come down and accept the award? I said, yeah, I'll come down. And I went down and room full of folks, and I'd say 99.9% of people in there were Caucasian. Yeah, there were 2, my wife Elaine and I. So we were there, and everybody, you could hear a pin drop. Nobody knew what I was going to say because I've been outspoken all my life. And they're just waiting for me to say something controversial. And I was as nice and humane to them as I could be. And afterwards, everybody came up in the sweat. You could see the sweat. They've been sweating, congratulating me. It's so nice. And I got into the Gator Bowl Hall of Fame late, but I got into it. So that's been all the way long. I was one of the trailblazers, and I was the very first African-American linebacker in the National Football League. Today, you can hardly find a white linebacker in the National Football League. They're all black. And things just changed. I was on the cutting edge. Our defense, we played Kansas City, and one of the guys on the Kansas City team, a good friend of mine, Bobby Bell, came up after the game and said, how did you guys end up with 6 black guys on your defense? And I said, hey, we just beat out 6 white guys, that's all. But now you look at the defense, it's all black. And so I was in that transition period. I mean, it was just a different type of game, football game. We played both ways, as I said, in college, and that's gone now. It was just a great game. But if you have any questions, just fire him. I can tell you, I can go on and on and on because I was drafted in the first round by the Green Bay Packers under Coach Vince Lombardi. Uh, I was the 14th guy taken in the draft because the Packers were world champions. So I was the last man in the first round, which is number 14. At the time, all the other general managers in the league called Vince, and he drafted Herb Adderley in '61, and he was black from Michigan State, and me in '63. And they said, "Why are you wasting draft picks on black ball players?" I said, "They're going to be around the third or fourth round. You don't have to draft them early." And Vince he told him, he said, "Listen," he said, "the only reason why you can give me why I shouldn't draft a black athlete is because with all the white schools in the South being prejudiced," he said they had to go to schools where they had inferior equipment and inferior coaching, and you have to coach them up for 3 years before they play. He said, Herb Adderley went to Michigan State. He had great equipment, great coaching, and we didn't have to worry about coaching him up. In '63, Dave Robinson came out of Penn State. We had great coaching, great equipment, and we both were ready to play. And that's how it was. It was just, you had to be there to see it. And of course, it's the first round now. The first man picked in the first round, the last man picked in the first round by the champion is now number 32 with 32 teams. Put this in perspective. Even though I was the last man in the first round, the first man in the last the last man in the first round now would be number 32. When I played, he would be the fourth man taken in the third round. That's how drastically different. But yet they get first round money, and it's money. And money is the key to the National Football League. They have a clause that says that certain percentage of the money has to be spent on to the players, and that's why the salaries go crazy, because as the TV contracts and different things go up and the money gets bigger, I think it's like 20%. That 20% gets bigger and bigger, and so they have to do something with the money, so they spend it, and that's why salaries have just blossomed. People want to know why people can get these $1 million contracts. It's because the way it's written, they have to spend it. So I know that I can go on and on about football. I love the game. I love like I tell people, I like to hit a guy in the left eye to see if the right eye is going to cry. That's it. Just take him on. I play against some good guys. I play against some bad guys, and I try to beat them up all. I don't try to hurt anybody. I never want to hurt anybody. If somebody falls out, he's hurt, I want to pick him up, help him up, and even say a little prayer for him maybe. But I want him to respect the fact that he was hit and hit hard. I don't want to be soft on anybody. I hit as hard as I could, as often as I could. And I played against some of the best. Jim Brown, everybody knows Jim Brown. His last game was against us, the 1965 championship game. And we held Jim to 50 yards. And people from Cleveland say, well, that's because the field was muddy. Well, it may have been muddy, but must have been muddy on their side of the ball, because our fullback, Jim Taylor, had 100 yards rushing. And our halfback, Paul Horney, had 105 yards rushing. So that our guys could see having poked over the mud. And I keep telling them, it wasn't the mud, it was that rock'em sock'em defense of the Green Bay Packers. We stopped Jim Brown cold. I could tell you lots of Jim Brown stories. Jim and I were good friends right up to the end. I met him really when I was in college. I was in the elevator with him. The Cleveland Browns and the Penn State team were in the same hotel, and I got on the elevator, and there was Jim Brown, John Wooten, and John Nesbitt, two guards. And Jim was a pretty big man. He's 6'3", weighed about 230, and at the time I weighed 210 in college. And I said, man, these guys are big. So I don't think I can play pro ball. I said, I'm going to just try to get my scholarship and get the heck out of here and get a job, get married and get a job. And then I got drafted. I said, I'm going to give it a shot. The rest is all history. And my first time I met Jim Brown was in a run-up bowl. And it was also the first game my wife saw me play, Elaine. And she came down there. She just had the twin boys, and she had been sick. She's in the field, and she's watching this. I want to do something special. And we're keying Jim Brown. And Jim started across the line, and I followed him on our side of the ball. Then all of a sudden, I saw the line open up, just like Moses part of the Red Sea. And I stepped into the hole, and I saw the quarterback hand the ball to Jim Brown. I'm just a rookie. This is my first time ever playing against the Browns. My whole life flashed in front of me. I said, oh, Lord, what do I do? I said, what? I said, well, I got to keep my head up, my butt down, keep my back straight, hit on the rise, lift, and take him down. And I don't know now if it was for 1 yard loss, 1 inch loss, but it was for a loss. He didn't get to the line of scrimmage. And I said to myself, well, that's it. I just tackled Jim Brown. I'm ready for the NFL now. And I told my wife, and she said, well, she said, what's so big about tackling Jim Brown? That's what you're paid to do. I said, baby, you don't understand. In this league, that people can tackle Jim Brown and people can't. I said, if they turn around and decide to cut me, I'm going to take the film clip of me tackling Jim Brown. I'm going to send it to every team in the league. I said, somebody's going to give us a job in the National Football League. And that's how it was all about the whole thing. I was never going up to get awards or anything else. I didn't have bonus clauses, but I wanted to make sure that my wife and family were proud of me, what job I did. I wanted them to understand that the little kid from Morristown, New Jersey, could play football, and that was my whole thing. And you know, I never prayed for games or anything. I never prayed for anything. But one of the big games I had in my life was the game in Dallas that led to Super Bowl I. The emphasis there was if we had lost, Dallas would have gone to the Super Bowl, the first one. If they go to the Super Bowl and they beat Kansas City, which I think they could have, that trophy would now be called the Tom Landry Trophy, not the Vince Lombardi Trophy. So I always say I named the trophy. But anyway, if they're down on the 1 yard line, the fourth down, and they called timeout, and I stand there, and all the guys got together. And I was kind of off by myself, and I just said just a little thing. I said, Lord, listen, I'm not going to pray against anybody else. All I want you to do is make sure they run at me. I said, I don't know about the other 10 guys, but I'm ready. Let them run right at me. And they'll say, okay, big mouth. And here they come, right at me. And, I broke through, grabbed the quarterback, and on about the 6 yard line, threw him down. They lost the game, and we won the game and went to Super Bowl I, and we won that. And the trophy's now the Vince Lombardi Trophy. So it was a big play in my career, but that wasn't the best game I ever had. The best game I ever had was in New York. Went there in 1967. The New York Giants were the number one offense in the league. We were the number one defense in the league. They billed it national TV, number one offense is number one defense. And my brother, when one brother told us, Minister Frank, he didn't come to any of my games because he was at home preaching. He had to go on games on Sunday. That I had nothing to do with that. But anyway, but my other three brothers, Les, Byron, and Charles. Charles only went to, I think, that one game too, but he was there. I mean, everybody was there. Frank Sinatra was in the locker room. It's a big game. It was called Lombardi's Return to Gotham. It was a key, and it was a number one offense against number one defense, and we beat them. And I had a very good game. I had 2 interceptions, sacked Fran Tarkenton, and partially blocked the punt, and got the AP Defender of the Week, and that was the only time Charles ever went to one of my games. The best game I had. When I knew my mother came to every game. When I knew my family or people from Morristown were in the stands watching me, I had my best play games. I always wanted to show off. I was proud of the fact that from Morristown, New Jersey, Mount Laurel, really, and I wanted everybody to know that we produced some good football players there. So. Anything else anybody got about this thing going? I tell you about the experience of Super Bowls. Everybody talks about the Super Bowls now, but they were Super Bowls when we were there. We always played the two leagues, instead of AFC, NFC, NFL, AFL. And we were the only team to win 3 consecutive world championships. We won in 65 in the four-mention game with Jim Brown. We beat them 23-12. Then we won Super Bowls number 1 and Super Bowls number 2. No other team has ever won 3 in a row. Green Bay did it back in the 30s, and then we did it 65, 66, and 67. So it's a kind of a big honor and to be part of it. And also to play under Vince Lombardi, and he was a different type guy. And I played 10 years in Green Bay, and then because I had some disagreements with the head honcho, the coach, I ended up going to Washington where I played for George Allen, another great coach. And I tell people all the time, I started my career with Vince. I ended my career with George Allen, 2 great coaches, but a bunch of mess in the middle. But it was all right. I love the game. It teaches you something about life, to be in the football game. And you fellow man, you're only as good as the guy next to you, and he's only as good as you can be. You owe it to him to play your very best, and he to you. And that's how life is. If you I don't care if you're a trash collector, if you're an engineer, if you're an accountant, you are only as good as the people you work with. If they want to be, you got to be the best you can, and they do the best they can, and then you will succeed. It's a funny world. I enjoy it. You got to be ready to hit, and in the process, you got to be prepared to get hit. But that's the way the ball bounces in football. I really don't know what questions you had in mind, but I would love to. I've been speaking almost 20 minutes now, but
Uncle
any
Dave,
questions you got? Yeah.
we'll go ahead and jump in there because you covered you're knocking all my questions out. So,
Yeah.
so what I want to do is I want to open it up to everybody. If you have any questions pertaining to football, pertaining to how we handle one of the things I would like to know, sir, and then of course we'll get everybody else in. How has the game changed over the 60 plus years? Because like you said, you came in 63. So
Right.
this is over 60 plus years you've been involved in the NFL. How has the game changed? What have you seen and how has it changed?
This is my 61st year would be. One thing, there's two leagues now. The balls are different than anything else. But the big thing in football is the money. The influx of money in football it takes above and beyond. And that's why I don't have a lot of money to show, but I do have right here. Let's see if I can ping in this. This is Junior. This is my pride and joy. This is, I don't know if you see it. This is our Butts from Canton. And then this makes you immortal. And put this back where it was. Yeah, that bus is there forever. And they say that this bus will last for 3,000 years. I said, I don't know if the building will, but the bus will be there for 3,000 years. And I'm number 279. You go by numbers, and that's because I'm the only Dave Robinson in the Hall of Fame right now. However, my grandson goes by Dave Robinson. My son may be in the Hall of Fame. My grandson may be in there someday, 40 years from now. Then there'll be two of us, but I'll be the only 279. That's how to keep track of all the Hall of Fame. There are some duplications, but I'm pulling for my grandson. But I've seen all kinds of money. Of course, the guys are smarter. Well, not very smart. They're dumber, but in the football, but you can fool them for, but they make a lot more money, and that's the big thing. Money clouds everything. When you see a guy get hit, he lays in the field, they come out and they work over him. That's modern. When I played, if you got hurt and you laid on the field, that was a charged timeout. You only got 3 per side. So if guys got hurt, they picked them up and drug them to the sideline. They'd be unconscious. They have one on each arm, and they keep walking to the sideline to save the timeout. It's just wild. And all the defensive backs in their socks would keep smelling salts. And they had a big hit on a running back or something, they'd take it out and they'd pop this thing and they'd be sniffing it in the huddle. And everybody say, hey, give me a shot. It went off. You find out everybody had bees in the helmet. It's just a different game. They wouldn't have to go through all that today. It's a much easier league to play. I mean, if I were playing in the league today, I'm biased, but I think I could go, instead of going 12 years, I think I would go 15, 20 easy. It's just much different. And I see guys come up one-on-one. You never see a guy come up one-on-one like the aforementioned Jim Brown. When I was one-on-one with him, I knew to break down, keep my knees, my butt low, head up, and then hit on the rise and wrap, take him down. These guys now come running in on a tightrope and a little mess like that just little movement by the runner, and zoom, he's right around him. I can't tell you how many times I see a guy with a clear shot of the guy in the backfield and he misses him. And the guy goes on and makes 5, 10, 15 yards. The game is different. It's not played as rough stuff, and they don't want people to get hurt. But the techniques are not there. I know, Bill, but you play ball, and they always touch you, keep your feet are wide apart, shoulder width, and come in before you make a tackle. Now they come running like they're on a tightrope, and that's it. They can't stop it. See, when you hit somebody to tackle, you got to move the center of gravity. Everybody's center of gravity is at approximately the waistline. If you move the center of gravity an inch, you can't keep your balance. You got to fall down. So we always hit right in the midsection, wrap, and just try to take the guy down. They just move him, he'll fall. Now they don't even do that. They come running in, they're running up. They're trying to knock the ball out of the guy's hand instead of tackling him. And it's just a whole different game. I don't know if I would enjoy playing in the day with the rules, where the rules are, but I would enjoy cashing those paychecks. I'll tell you that. That's the name of the game. And,
There's
and my wife
Mike
would
Hill had a
too.
question for you there.
Yes,
Your
sir.
nephew has
What's
a
the question?
for you. Go ahead, Mike.
I can't hear it.
Mike, go ahead and unmute.
There you are, Uncle Dave. Good to see you.
Yeah, how you doing today?
Doing very well. All right, since you're a defensive man, I wanted to have you talk a little on defenses. Yeah, not to put you on the spot too much, but thinking about defensive players, maybe a couple could you share, think about maybe a handful of defensive players outside of yourself that have impacted the way the defensive game is played over the years. So, yeah.
Well, first of all, I'll tell you, the one thing that made me good was the fact that I was surrounded by greatness. The guy my defensive end who played right next to me, and every play we had to interchange that position, was Willie Davis. He's the Hall of Famer. The guy on the outside and the cornerback, and any way we had it, anytime a guy came out and ran a real shallow pattern, I shadowed him. I didn't cover him, but I stayed between him and the quarterback, so he had to throw over me. Then once they got 10, 15 yards downfield, then this Herb Arity would cover him. He's in the Hall of Fame. The inside linebacker right next to me was just a crazy guy, man. He was wild, man. He was one of the most pious, peaceful people I ever saw in your life. But as soon as he crossed that white line onto the green field, he mesticized it to a monster. That was Ray Nitschke. He's in the Hall of Fame. And then sometimes he went strong to your right. The sweet safety came over. We had weak safety, but we covered the tight end. He was just a great guy. He was only 5'10", but he could jump up and dunk the ball over the goalpost. He's just a great athlete. He was one of the first black quarterbacks in the National Football League. I mean, in the NCAA. He was USC. He was a quarterback, led him to the championship, captain of the team. And when he was drafted, they said he threw the ball too hard, so he had to go to safety. In those days, there weren't any black quarterbacks. But anyway, so what happened? The plays wasn't like it is today, where a guy upstairs calls the play and the quarterback reads it on his wrist and the quarterback had to come to the line and come with the plays himself. Most quarterbacks are right-handed. They automatically call plays to the right. So the right-hand side of the offense is the strongest. So we loaded up the left-hand side with Willie, Herb, myself, Nitschke, and sometimes Willie Wood. What that meant was, as a quarterback, you came up, you had to call that play yourself. You looked to your right, and there were five future Hall of Famers on the field at one time. That was the toughest left side in the National Football League, bar none. Including those out there today, and nobody ran. 1965, in fact, Herb Arity, our cornerback, didn't have a single touchdown pass thrown against him all year, and they threw one in the Cleveland, and he said that in the paper, and the Cleveland put a play in that fooled him, and they threw one touchdown pass on him. Only one thrown for the whole year, just one touchdown pass thrown on him. That's an amazing stat. No one else has anything like that. This team and teams are made like that. This is the difference between now and then. After practice, we used to all go together down to a Ponderosa or someplace like that and eat lunch after practice, everything else. Or we might go to a place of libation, like a beer joint, and get together. Now when the practice is over, these players all go their own separate ways. In fact, half of them go out and get in the car, and the first thing they do is on their cell phone, they call up the accountant or the agent or the financial advisor and sit there instead of mingling with the team. The closest in there, I see them all the time, and I don't think they're as close as we were. We were real close. We knew each other's families. We met together afterwards, and it's just different. And people now are more or less on their own, and they're individualized. But they try to get together on the field, but it's not the same. Well, so I hope I answered your question. I kind of rambled there a little bit, but
you did. We guess they'd have to mount a team just like the All-Stars that Green Bay had on defense back in the late '60s. So you answered it. Yeah. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. We had a lot of, and it's great. It's a great team.
Now, Uncle Dave, we have a lot of young ladies.
Okay.
And they're going to appreciate me saying they're young. So I see some of them smiling, but we have a lot of young ladies on here that are participating. What would you say to women so they can have a greater understanding of the game? What would you tell them to watch? What should they be watching for so they, when they do sit down, if they watch the playoff games tomorrow, Super
Right.
Bowl next week, I don't care if they're watching no league football. What would you say to them that say they have a greater concept of the game?
Okay, I'm face up. My grandmother and my mother hated football. Thought it was a violent game and they couldn't play. Even though my other four brothers had played football, my mom, I'm the baby, I'm the youngest. My mom didn't want me to play football. And my dad finally told her it was unfair to not let me play also. So what I did, I saved up my money and bought my mother a season ticket to Morristown's football games. And she didn't want to go. She hated football, but she was frugal. She did not want to waste the money for that ticket. She sat in the stands. We got in the stands. She found all the women around her for her age and had children on the field. And after they just talked about how the marriages, the kids, and everything else. About the fourth game, she started watching the game, and she watched it, and she asked me questions, and she turned to be my biggest fan. And every time I come with the 250 miles of Morristown, she was at the game. The point is, you got to understand what's going on. Some people think it's just a bunch of brutality, guys hitting and everything else. It's not that. It's a skill, and they're showing their skill. And they hit. The football pad is called a compression pad. If you just sit there and try and let somebody hit you, and it's going to hurt, and you're going to get hurt. The pads only work when you hit somebody and compress the pad. So the harder you hit, the less you hurt. And I explained that to my mother. I said, Mom, if the harder you hit, you don't get hurt. I'm not going to get hurt. I'm going to hit them as hard as I can. And she said, oh, okay, Dad. Okay, Dave. And she went and like I said, she ended up being one of my biggest fans. And well, she didn't even want me to play. My dad had to talk to her for to sign my permission slip to go play football. But once you get into it and see what the game's all about and learn it, ladies, you'll love it. Just remember, don't worry about somebody hitting your son. Worry about your son hitting somebody else too hard. That's as long as he hits hard, the harder he hits, the less it hurts. In fact, you don't feel it at all. I mean, you play it. It's a funny game. Now the pads are built a little different today, and everything else they put pads everything. So, one guy was quoted saying that they had finger pads. I'd wear finger pads. They got all kinds of pads, but the pads and the helmets, all that high technology, but you still got to hit. It's a hitting game. Any other questions?
Do we have anyone else? I'm sure there's plenty of questions out there you want to ask. You can, like I said, it's all about football. Go ahead.
Oh.
What's your favorite memory there, Uncle Dave?
Cashing my Super Bowl check. I just said that. I just said that. That was the biggest story of my wife's life. I mean, she didn't even care we went to the Super Bowl. She wanted to know when you get the check. And I said, okay. And it used to always just come in April. My birthday's May. I said the league always said it around my birthday as a birthday gift to me. They didn't. It just came in that. As they did the accounting, cut it up. Everything was worked on shares. How many shares you had, and what your percentage was divided, blah blah. Now it's a fixed amount. You know what you're going to get. Yeah, but really, I think my biggest thrill of my life was that when I won the first championship in the first Super Bowl, because I could look in the mirror and say, "You are now a Super Bowl champ. You are now one of the best 48 men in football," and it's a big thrill. I mean, I could go on and tell you the names of the people I played against, great football players, and never got to the Super Bowl, never won a Super Bowl. So, but we won it. We did it, and we did it as a unit. And the left hand washes the right. That's how it is. That's how football is. That's how life is. What you learn on the football field, you can carry into your everyday life. You that camaraderie is just like the unity. And Trinity, I realized suddenly Trinity's been around 150 years. It wouldn't have been like that if it's just the building. It's the people, what they do, how they made Trinity last, how it kept going. Now, I feel that same way about football. You can have a bunch of guys out on the football field playing, but unless you had a unit, unless you're all pulled together, you can't have half the guys going one way and the other half going the other way. You got to go together as a group. That's how Trinity. That's how you have to go through life, whether it be a job or anything else. And football was a job, but it was a good one. I'll keep running. Get any more questions? Like,
Yeah, I do. Who's your? Because that last question was from a Bears fan. So who was your? What team did you dislike? I'm not gonna say hate, but what team did you dislike the most? I know, like myself and Mike, growing up, it was Delran. So through high school, college, into the NFL, what team did you dislike the most? You wanted to bring the most pain to at any level?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it's kind of hard to answer that because I didn't dislike any team. I liked them all. In fact, you know, let's say Green Bay was the greatest team in the world. No, that's peon. Then in the 14-game schedule, we'd be sold out the 2 games we played, and everybody else would nobody be there, and the league would collapse, and I wouldn't be get paid at all. I like all the teams. I like the competition. Now I'll tell you some of the teams that were the best. I didn't hate anybody, by the way, but I love to play against the best. If I play against a guy who was real soft and mushy, I had a bad game because I wasn't emotionally prepared. When I went up against Mike Ditka one-on-one, I played with Mike in college, and then he went to the Bears, and I went to Green Bay, which is the longest and one of the toughest opponents in the league. The Packers and the Bears started playing in 1919, and then in 1920, the Bears joined the NFL. The Packers didn't, but they still filled the contract and played the Packers. 1921, when they went to sign to get Green Bay, wanted to find out what day they're going the home and home schedule, and the Bears informed them they couldn't play us anymore because they only could play NFL teams. So rather than not play the Bears, the Packers joined the NFL, and that's why it was the longest rivalry going. It's just crazy, you know. But Mike Ditka was a guy that I've known him all for years. Mike's sick right now, so everybody wants to give a call, a little prayer for him. I appreciate it, but I didn't hate anybody. Of course, I still don't hate anybody. I love the ones who hit me the hardest, ones I respected the most. The best tight end I ever played against was Ron Kramer, and Ron's passed on too. But right to the end, in fact, the week before he died, he and I took a trip together. I like guys. I like guys who hit me hard. I don't feel there's no great accomplishment out of hitting somebody who can't beat me or not have a chance to beat me. And when you take him, and you got to figure this way, all week long, his wife's been telling him how good he is. All week long, his fans have been telling him good. All week long, his friends have told him how he's going to beat me. All week long, his coaches training him to beat me. All week long, he got all these guys telling him how he's going to beat me. And then he walks out on the field, and the first play, I pop him right in his chops, and he feels good. I said, "Ooh, this is not what they told me was going to happen to me." And that's it. And that's how it is. You just get his respect early, and you play it. And then it's a game. It's like no other. It's amazing. But even at that, it's starting to get a little weaker as time goes on.
We're going to have a question by
Sure.
Mary Smith. And then
All
right
right.
after that, Pastor Battle's going to come in. She has some things she wants to share. And then we'll finish out. We'll take another 15 to 20 minutes and finish out. So, folks, if you have not been asking any questions, write them down. He's here for you, because the last thing you want to do is we finish out. You say, "Oh, I wish I would have asked him this." So let's make sure we have a great wealth of knowledge. And it doesn't necessarily have to be football related. He was a businessman, so he did get involved in business outside of football. So we want to make sure we tap into this whole wealth of knowledge. So I'm saying Mary Smith. I'm trying to keep it informal, but go ahead, Mom. And then right after that, Pastor Battle, she's going to step in and share some things, and then we'll get right back to Uncle Dave.
Thank you, Uncle Dave. This is a little, it's football, but it's a little off what you've been talking about. When we go anywhere, or when you go anywhere, and you will try that championship ring, never turn anybody down. And I'm just wondering, when you adopt an restaurant.
Hey, Mom, you're breaking up. I think you broke up a little bit. if you want to send it in the chat and I'll ask the question,
Okay.
we'll do that. But Tanny,
Okay.
where's Tanny at? So Tanny, don't send me a chat. You're gonna ask the question.
I'm sorry, my computer is acting a little crazy, so I hope I don't lose
Okay.
you.
I'll answer. I'll ask it for you then. She wants
Okay.
to know, Uncle Dave, your predictions for this year's Super Bowl. That's Tanny.
Oh,
I don't
well, you know,
I don't know.
I tell you, the teams are very evenly matched. And if I had to pick one I'm rooting for, I'd say it's the Detroit Lions. Not because I think they're the best team out there. I kind of like Mahomes with Kansas City, but the big thing is the Detroit Lions are in our division, the North Division. We play them twice a year, and it's kind of like there's a great brotherhood between both teams, whether you know it or not. And our brotherhood was Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota, and Chicago. And the reason why those 4 teams were in that division by themselves is nobody wanted to play. Everybody had none of the other teams wanted to play in Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay, or Minnesota in the wintertime. So they put us in a league together, in a group together, and it's just they call it the black and blue division. That NFC North is a tough division, and especially after November. Although the winters are getting much milder now than they used to be back in the 60s and 70s. But that's it.
Thank you, Dave.
Yes,
Bill,
got it.
I just wanted to ask Uncle Dave, when he gets stopped in the parking lot, on the street, or anywhere, how do you feel? Do you feel like a celebrity, or do you feel like you're you because you don't come off as anything different than being Dave Robinson?
Well, you know, when they stop, I think it's for an honor. The people that stop and ask me for autographs, and I never turn them down, and I answer the questions. You know, I've had a lot of success in football, and most of it came at because of my surroundings and my fans and whatnot, everything. And you owe it back to them. I owe them more than I could ever repay. So I always do anything I can for them, especially youngsters, male or female. I think that is the backbone of America. They ain't talking about all these things, everything else. It's the youth. And as long as they said a long time ago, as you bend the twig, that's how the tree is going to grow. And so if I go down there and act the fool and turn them down, these youngsters, then it's going to form on them. They're going to grow up and say, well, my Dave Robinson said I can kick the little guys around or something like that. No. You teach them the humility. You teach them what it is to be friends. You teach them what it is to make sacrifices for what you think is important, and then you will turn into a great person. The production of the great citizenry through our youngsters is what we have to look forward to in life. And you got to do everything you can to make sure your son or daughter, or even your next door neighbor, is the best youngster you can be, because Dave's going to be a great man or woman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm going to jump right in there right now and say, this is wonderful. Really great time we're having here today. Thank you so much, everyone who's here and who's participating. Don't go anywhere just yet. We have a few more minutes with Uncle Dave. And right now, I just want to give you an opportunity. Actually, as you know, this program is sponsored by Trinity AME Church. And we are giving you opportunity actually to make a contribution to the church. If you know if it touches your heart, if you're so inclined, we no gift is too small, but we at Trinity, we do have a need for donations. So we're asking if you can Cash App us any amount that's on your heart, $307 Trinity C, or you can mail us a check to Trinity AME Church, 307 North Fork Landing Road, Simonson, New Jersey, 08077. Or you could just call me up or call up one of the members, and we'll make arrangements to receive your donation. But God loves a cheerful giver, and God has promised to bless those who give. And I just want to give you that opportunity. We are so thankful for this session today, and we know that Uncle Dave is contributing a lot. I mean, we are being fed true history right here and right now today, because he's talking about all of his experiences and all of his knowledge he's sharing with us. letting us know that football is not only the physical aspect of it, but there's character building and there's a spiritual side to it. There's emotional and social side to it. It's life. This football is life. So I just want to give you opportunity to come alongside of Trinity AME Church, where Uncle Dave does worship with us on Sunday morning. He's with us on Zoom on Sunday morning. And if you would like to worship with us or to hear him say something again, he will greet you every Sunday morning. And you can just come alongside us in our service and be blessed that way. But thank you for everyone who's here, and those who have a mind to give, please give liberally. God loves a cheerful giver. I'm going to give it back into the hands of our moderator for today, who's doing a wonderful job. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Reverend Battles, and God bless you. I tell you, you do a great job.
Praise
And
God.
God bless all Trinity. If you don't know, I'll tell you something. From that I learned in football, no man walks alone. And one thing that keeps you together is things like Trinity. The more you put into Trinity, the more you'll get out of it. And that's the thing. I believe that. I mean,
Praise
all the,
God.
and it's just amazing what the little church on Fort Landing Road has done and keeps doing every day, every Sunday, especially, but every day.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
This was really great. Thank you
Yeah.
all. And so good seeing the family too. God
I
bless.
have a
each
question.
and
I
every
have a
one of y'all.
question now. I have one little question. Hey, Bill, what is that Raider sign doing behind you? Man, look here. Hey,
You have asked me that numerous amounts of times.
no.
Now but you do see up in the upper corner right there. There you are.
Oh yeah.
See, so I still.
But yeah, don't put
and-
me next to that. Don't put me next to that Raider sign. Now.
No. You're right
No,
up
no.
top. See, you're at the very top, and this is so
Actually,
everybody knows this is my man cave, and I'm a
Yeah.
Raider fan, and I have been talked to about that a few times. But it's good.
I've had many I have lots of friends from the Raiders teams, and they're good guys. And I just joking. We joke around in the league, but the Raiders are good teams. I played against them. Oh, I don't know how many times, and I socialized with them. They're great guys, people, But I still don't want to know why you got. No, that's all right. I got my G up, so I can't say nothing.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, all. I'm quite thankful that my cousin Betty Collins referenced this Zoom meeting tonight or this afternoon. And to the pastor, you will be seeing some correspondence from me
Amen.
making a
Amen.
contribution here. Basically, a little about myself. I've been in football in some capacity the last 50 years, whether playing youth league, high school. The last 17 years, I've been a football official in high school at the highest levels. My question to you, Mr. Robinson, is who is your contemporary that if you watch NFL today, who would you say is a contemporary NFL player that was comparable to you during your playing days?
That's the league is so different. That's a very hard question to answer. I tell you, I'm defense. I kind of look at the defensive side of football and look at guys hit. And of all the defensive ball players, the first one comes to my mind is a great ball player is Hamlin from Buffalo, who died on the field, came back. This is the type, he could have gone into a shell and just, walked around the rest of his life with
Sure.
more than what he is. But he came back, and I don't know if I could have done it. I hope I would have done it. But he's my hero right now. And
Okay.
But on the field, the guys that hit, I love linebackers. I sat and watched the linebackers all day long on when I'm watching the game to see how the linebackers hit. They play a lot different game. The big difference in the game, I think, is that now they can't hit. They can't hit after 5 yards, and all the defenses, the linebackers are 6 yards deep, so we don't get the physical contact we used to have. We used to be wrapped on the line of scrimmage, and the tight ends and the linebackers and the guys coming up, we hit jammed each other at the line of scrimmage, and so there's not too many guys like that I can see anymore. But there's a lot of good football players. the guys are getting bigger and faster and stronger, and they pump iron all the time. And I can't go. But the guy really, Hamlin is one guy I really think is a great football player. It really tells me a lot about the game when a guy can lay on the field, near death, and then want to get back up and go back and play the game again. That's what it's all about.
Thank you.
And a guy doesn't do that for the money. He does it for the love of the game, and that's why he's my hero.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Think
Anything else?
Sam, Patrick, you had a question?
And Annie played.
Hey, Uncle Dave,
Yes.
you got a little white Bears fan show up on your front porch sometime. You gonna let me eat?
Listen, you know what? See, here's the thing. If it weren't for teams like the Bears, I would not have had a game. And I have Bear fans who call me every time there's a Bear-Packer game. I have somebody, we have placed bets with each other. Neither one of us ever paid off for the bets. We just make the bets just symbolically, and we don't no money exchange or anything else like that. But the Bears are a great rivalry. Great rivalry. The Packers played the Bears before the league, like I said, and they played every year since. I think it's some of the great Bears teams, and always gentlemen. I love them. I love the Bears. I love playing against the Bears. I love playing in that NFC North. That was a great conference. Still is. But if somebody shows up, don't worry about it. I take care of it. If he shows up in the summertime, I'd be shocked because Bears usually are hybrid, come out and they're tough. The Bears are tough.
Did you get my text messages a while back? It's not football related. I sent you a couple texts that deer I killed this year.
Oh, I think I did. Now. Yeah. You from Indiana?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now I know I'm talking to. Yeah. Okay. Now I know I'm talking. Yeah, I got that. You know what I'm gonna tell you? I don't receive many text messages because I don't open them all. But that when I opened, I saw this pictures of deer. Yeah. I had deer hunt planned for this month and I had to cancel it. The guy was sponsored, got sick. We had to cancel. But I go down to Laredo, Texas every year. I got a 10-pointer last year, but nothing like the ones out of Indiana. Yeah.
Told you that the invite's open.
I know that. I know. I got you on the speed dial too. I know to get back to you. But thanks for calling in.
Uncle Dave, what advice would you give to some of the younger players that you see coming in today? You discussed how much money they're making, how much some of them are so much on social media, and even as young as little kids that I coach, I tell them to stay off of that stuff a lot. But what advice would you give to these younger athletes, not just football players, but just younger athletes in general, as they move up in the college and into the professional area?
What I tell them, remember one thing: you're just a small segment of the whole country, of your town, of your family, and there's no joy in hurting people. You don't try to hurt anybody. You try to move them, you try to hit them, you gain the respect of that. But when I can't tell you how many times when I was playing ball, big time, and the higher up the scale you went, from high school, guys that hit and brag about hitting somebody and everything else. As you get along, I mean, I've seen grown men hit somebody. The guy be laying on the ground, perhaps bleeding or moaning and groaning, and the guy that did the hitting would have tears in his eyes almost. And it's that type of a game. And these guys who try to show up, try to be tough and dirty, they're not real football players. They're assassins. The football players I love to get hit. I love when the guy hit me. I knew the guy was for real, and it didn't make me mad. I never wanted revenge. I want to hit harder, so in fact I could take it and give it. But it's a building block in your personality. You got to be able to take it, and you got to be able to give it. But you got to do it with some kind of a feeling in you that you're not trying to hurt anybody. When guys get hurt and land on the field, you even today you see all the guys huddle around it, and they're sincere. Nobody wants to see anybody hurt. They don't try. The game is played. I can't explain it. It's just a feeling in there. and I love it, and I love it. I love hitting. I love getting hit too. I gave him my respect when he hit me, but when he hit me, I try to hit him harder. The next time we come, I get the paybacks. But yeah, it's football's a funny thing, and I loved it. I just wish I was 20 years old so I could get up there now. Now the money is a secondary issue. It's a big one, but it's a secondary issue. We didn't get paid that much, but I think I would have played for nothing, and just for the chance to play in the National Football League playing is good. I would have just played and worked on the offseason as long as I had enough to support my family. The money was never an issue with me. We didn't get paid that much either, but it's a great it's a great teacher. Reverend Battle speaks all times about what it takes, how you got to give and take and give. And that's what it is, give and take. That's the National Football League.
Wanda had a question. She's on Facebook, but she wants to know what, when you're not watching football, what sport do you like to watch the most when you're not watching football?
I like most sports, but my second favorite sport is basketball. Yeah. As you know, when I was at Morristown, we were undefeated for 2 years, national and state champions 2 years in a row. So I got a deep foundation, a great appreciation for basketball players, running and jumping and ducking the ball. But that's in the sports world, that I like basketball next to football. But there's other things. I have a lot of interest. Like I like going to shows or something. I'm talking the theatrical shows and that. But I'd rather go to a basketball game or a football game, if that makes sense. I can't hear you.
Definitely. I'm sorry, you saw my mouth move. You didn't hear me.
Yeah.
No, that definitely makes sense. But Mary Smith, Molly, mom, she had a question. I don't know if she's still able to log in, but her question was, do you have a dream team? Maybe not all 22.
Right.
Now I'm going to put a stipulation on this. I'm going to put you can't name everybody you play with, sir. You gotta have a dream team. They can't be all Packers now. Even though I still think that they're the greatest, but you gotta throw in some there.
If I was putting together a team, an all-star team of all the players I played against and winning against, there've been an awful lot of Packers on it, mainly because I had a much closer relationship. I saw them every day in practice and every week on the field. But there's so many guys. The guy who played the same position I did, Bobby Bell from Kansas City. He and I were in college all-star game. We came up the same year. We were both, in fact, I was the first black linebacker in the National Football League. He's the first black linebacker in the AFL. And so we got hip to join at the hip. And Bobby and I definitely, if I had a team, and I'd put him on that team, number one, the aforementioned Ryan Kramer, who I played with, he ended up going with Detroit and played against. I'd put him on that team, but I'd have a hard time changing between him and John Mackey. John Mackey, who played with the Baltimore Colts. I'd want to put him in there. He was just a great ball player. I mean, and then I'd say great ball player. I'm not talking about his ability to play football. I'm talking about how he reacted in life. He's a great person, a great person for you to have your children emulate. And John Mackey be one of them. I started saying Mike Dick, but he gets a little crazy sometimes. So I don't know if I'd want to be a goal from somebody for my children to look at. But and then of course there's the quarterback position. You got the John Unitas from Baltimore coach. You got Bart Starr from our team. And they both had very, very high standards.
You can hear Dave talking.
It's almost like you'd have to ask me what
Billy was talking.
Who's that? I missed up.
Go ahead, sir.
You can keep talking.
No, someone was bleeding in.
Okay. All right. Okay. No, I was gonna say it's hard to make an all-star team, and it's the ones I'm the closest to it. Naturally, my own teammates. Like I wouldn't want to leave somebody like Willie Wood or Herb Rowdy, those guys, off for what they went through. And I tell you, Marion Motley, who I got to know later in life, he was a great fullback with the Cleveland Browns. But he was a great man. He broke in. he's the one that when he was running the ball, and they said, and he was one of the few black running backs in the league at that time. And guys were punching him and everything else. And finally, a guy just hold off and punched him right in the mouth, and the official threw a flag. And Mike said, well, Lacey's going to call the penalty. And then the guy picked the flag up and said, that's on you, Mr. Motley. That's for biting. So he said that's how it was that day. It was just, there's all sorts of different things for guys that play football. Almost
Stacy,
any football player. Yes.
Stacy has a question.
Okay.
She wanted to know, what are things you would tell young athletes to motivate them to keep pushing through their athletic careers?
There is no athletic career unless you have an academic career. And so I tell any young ball player to get to the books first. And, you know, and the game now is getting more and more intriguing. And so many things are happening. You know, like we never had computers and all this stuff and everything, but you got to stick with the books. You gotta be smart. If you can't add 2 and 2 or the square root of 9 real quickly, you're not gonna be able to stop that sweep or the handoff. It all works together. The better you are in school, the better you are with your math and your English and in classes, the better football player you're going to be, because your mind is trained to answer and solve problems. And you know, football is great, but it's nothing without an education. You got to go, and not just an education, but your religious life is important too. You look like these guys up there beating the banging, but all the good players have a very deep religion. They don't play around. All the good players I know go to church on Sunday, and they're not ashamed to say that we say our prayers 2 or 3 times during the game. And it got so because in recent years, because of TV and that, they've stopped doing it. They don't show it so much, but there's a lot of praying in the National Football League for each other. You know, I never asked to beat somebody. I always said I want them to play their best. I want to play my best and make the best man win. That's it.
That sounds really great. I think if there's one more question, otherwise we've gone overtime already today.
All right,
I
yeah.
have a question.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the first I'd say, if you have any questions aren't answered today, you see to it that you get to Bill or Molly or any of my nieces and nephews, and they get it to me, and we'll give you a personal answer. But go ahead.
so what was Vince Lombardi really like?
I wish I knew. No, he would see. Vince Lombardi was a great man. He grew up. He grew up. Let me correct this. When I grew up in the 40s, I was born in 1941. When I grew up in the 40s and early 50s, there were 3 groups of people that were looked down upon: African Americans, of course, Jewish, and Italian. Vince Lombardi was told. Vince Lombardi had been in a number of situations and never got the chance to be a head coach. And finally he got to New York and he built his reputation as assistant coach. And the head coach, Jim Lee Howe, was retiring. And Vince was looking forward to being the next head coach of the New York Giants. And Warren Tamara called him in his office and said, Vinny, I'm going to tell you right now, you'd been off the job at Green Bay. He said, if I were you, take the job at Green Bay, because the next head coach of the New York Giants is going to be Ollie Sherman. And he said that New York City is just not ready for an Italian head coach. And so he knew. So I walked to him and told him that, you know, none of the black ball players brought their wives to Green Bay. And I said, my wife's coming up, coach. I said, I don't know how to tell this, but there's no black women in Green Bay. And he told me, he said, if she is the type of woman I think she is, she'll be able to adapt to it. And he did. But he knew. He had been on that side, on the other side of the tracks. He knew what it was like to be discriminated against because of your race, religion, or something. He was a Catholic. It's another thing. Catholics were looked down upon by different people. But Vince Lombardi had all these things. Everybody, not just Vince Lombardi or Dave Rousey, but Bill, everyone on the screen right now, you're all the product of the experiences you had in life. And I think be good experiences or bad experiences. But the bad ones, you try to make the best of them. It's going to influence you, and you just got to live through it. You know what you want. You know what your ultimate goal is, and how to reach it, honestly and directly. And Vince Lombardi was that way. Vince Lombardi never asked us to do anything he hadn't done himself. or wouldn't do if he could. He wasn't a real big man. He's maybe 5'10", maybe 195, something like that. But he was one of the 7 blocks of granite. Look it up sometime. The 7 blocks of granite was the Fordham University School front line, toughest line in the country. And he was very small, and he played right guard. Remember, I told you the right side is the tough side. He was playing right guard. And his wife said one time they were playing USC. They got California, and they came in and he also wore the old Notre Dame type helmet, leather helmet, no face mask. And he said these big guys, and his wife told me this story. The big guys, she called them the 210 and 220 pound guys. Now to be 60 and 70, take 260, 270. But anyway, they beat him, they punched him, did everything he could. When he came home, when he walked through the door, his wife said the only place she could kiss him was on the left earlobe. His face was swollen and stitches in his mouth and everything else. But he had done it. So when Vince Lombardi asked me to take that, to go block a punt, or block a field goal, to go rushing in there, I knew that he would do it or had done it before. And that's a big thing about him. And he's just a great guy. I can't say enough about him. He suffered all the inhumanities that can be expressed to man. He survived, and he wanted to be the best, and he was the best coach. He wasn't the best football player, but he was a great football player.
I'm going to go ahead and close this out now because we have hit the mark, and if we keep asking questions, we'll be here for another hour or two, and Pastor Battles, and then my mom will start yelling at me again. So because she yelled at me yesterday.
Well, I just said everybody, any questions that weren't answered, and you get to somebody, get it to Bill or the Molly or something, or anybody, or Reverend Battle, anybody can get to me, and I'll see till you get a personal answer, or at best you'll get a answer. I don't know if it's gonna be the best answer in the world, but I'll give you an answer to anything, any question at all, except the stock market. I don't mess with the stock market.
Pastor,
thank you so much. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, do you have anything?
Yes. I just want to say thank you, and thank you again. It has been an incredible session today. I want to thank you so much, Uncle Dave. This would not have been had you not looked at us kindly and just given us the time to hear you talk to us, to encourage us, and to inspire us. It's been really, really good for me. I'm a person, I like documentaries, and I like to learn the true facts about things. So you really have been very inspirational to me today. And thank you so much to our moderator as well. Our moderator did an incredible job. Thank you. I'm so happy that you came on and you handled it. You did your thing, and we appreciate it. It's all been a blessing today to have everyone who's on today. It's been a true blessing. And thank you so much for taking your time. I hope you were blessed like I was, because I've been very inspired. And as soon as we hang up, I'm going to start talking to people about having a follow-up session. Because next month is Black History Month, and a lot of this, I know that Uncle Dave has some stories about traveling with the leagues and Black history interference or Black history aspect of what happened. So anyway, we're going to think about things, and we're going to press forward. Thank you all for being with us today. But I want to end it actually with Reverend Henrietta Hill. She is the associate pastor over at Trinity, where I am the pastor, and she's going to close us out in her own way.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Battle. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Uncle Dave, for being you, because that's the only way I can describe you, is being you, because you've always been the same to me. We want to thank Billy for being such a wonderful moderator, and we want to thank Missy and Michelle, because they were behind the scenes, so we all didn't see them, but I know that they were pretty instrumental in helping to get us set up, as well as the tech team. Michelle, Darlene, Pastor Battle, thank you very much for doing it. Thank you everyone who was on the line. I know that we are seeing several family members on the line, and I don't know if you see them all, Uncle Dave, if you know who all is on here, but Braille and Latanya are on. Michael on, and you've already talked to Sam. He said hi, Uncle Dave. And we have Betty Smith. We have Bill and Betty are on. Bill Smith Sr. is on. Chris, right, Missy. And we have Tyreek was somewhere. We have Selena Smith and Barbara Corbin is on. So we're grateful, Barbara. Yes, we're grateful to have Barbara on also.
Family.
And Stacy and her family, right? I see the Jala family is on. And then we have friends, and we're grateful. Mr. Daniels on, Reverend Michael Green is on. We are thankful for. Let's see who else is on here. Betty Collins, and I'd like to thank my friend Jane for being on. Thank you, Jane, for coming on. Jane said, I don't know anything about football, but I'd just like to hear your uncle speak. So we thank the Lord for as Billy said, the ladies who came on may not know a lot about football, but I think the things that you said, even though you use some football terms, the things that you said related to life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's one thing that we all can grasp from, we all can grow from. So thank you very much for sharing your life experiences and just sharing your wisdom. As you know, when you come home and you're with us, we listen to you talk because we enjoy hearing what you have to say. It's always a delight for us to hear where you've been and what you've gone through. And we thank you for sharing that with Trinity and with all of us today. Pastor Battle, I think we're
Wanda says she's on Facebook, Aunt Retta. You can't forget Wanda.
Okay. Wanda's on Facebook. Okay.
Yeah,
cannot
be known.
Cannot.
Retta, Crystal Grace Green is on also.
Okay. And Crystal Grace Green is on. Amen.
And we also got a lot of messages in the chat. Thank you very much, Uncle Dave. It was great job. They loved what you were saying and loved hearing all about football.
And Minister Battle's on too.
Oh, Minister Battle, amen. And Katura is on. Katura Thomas.
Katura Thomas, yes.
And Mr. Patrick, Sam Patrick.
Right. Okay. Good to have you all on. Good to have everybody on. Pastor Battle, thank you for the opportunity that this event could happen. And we pray that, as you said, we can do this again.
I'm going to pick it up down.
Okay, I think I said my son Michael being on, and I see Alma back there in the background. So thank you both for coming on also. This is Uncle Dave. Do you have anything you'd like to say before we close out?
I was just going to say one thing. I've done a lot of things in my life in the community, and this is one of my most enjoyable. Not just because of Pastor Battle and Trinity and whatnot and my family, but just the outreach to the community. And I want to say anybody, even somebody who wasn't on today, if they have a question, get it to Pastor Battle or you or your sister Molly or your niece, and they will get it to me. And I guarantee you, I'm a little tardy sometimes, so allow me 5 days to get it back to you. But I try to answer any question you have, and I really enjoyed it. I have a lot more to say, but I didn't want to run overtime. And I tell you, one thing I will leave you with one thought. All my life, I said, if you want to get somewhere, it starts with one step, and you make that first step, and then the second. And after about the fifth or sixth, the steps get easier. And before you know it, you'll be where you want to be. That's in life, in football, or anything else. Just keep that. Every time you look up and think you've got a barrier in front of you, go around that barrier and take that one step to the second and third. And that's all I try to do all my life. And I leave with that. And nothing is too great. Nothing is too great. You can reach any goal you want. It's how hard you want and how bad you want it. So just work at it. And I said, with that, I say, God bless everybody. And thank you very much. And thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
And you too.